Check, check, check. How are you?
Mike, check. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. You can hear us okay?
Yeah, you sound super clear. How I
Good.
sound?
Great.
All
Fantastic.
right, cool, cool.
Very good.
Well, thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it all week.
We've been looking forward to it as well. Jonah and I have been texting back and forth the whole week on how we want to do this, how we want to, because every time we do this, we want to improve a little bit and
Yeah.
make it a little nicer for us, a little nicer for you, and that kind of thing. So we're learning. This is our fourth time or third time?
This is our
Third?
fourth time.
Fourth time. Yeah. So we're still new at this, figuring it out.
Yeah,
So
I seen the last one you did with the Smokey Saves America. That was pretty dope. I enjoyed it. I
Good.
watched it all the way through.
Yeah, we really enjoyed having him on. It was fun. I didn't think I would enjoy that kind of political book, but it was really good. Yeah, definitely enjoyed it more than I thought I
I'm
would.
definitely gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, it was insightful and definitely changed my opinions about some things that I was kind of like sticking on or kind of on the edge on. So it
Yeah.
was good for me. It was a good read for me. So man, tell us how I probably mispronounced your name. Do you go by Yael or
Just
Jael?
Jael.
Jael. Okay. I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like, man, I probably mispronounced that. But
Nah, you're perfectly
Ortiz
fine.
was correct.
Ortiz is definitely
Okay,
correct.
good.
People have been saying my name wrong all my life, so
Oh,
I'm used to it. I was that guy in class, like it's Jael.
yeah.
But you didn't butcher it as much as most people do. They
Okay.
usually
Well,
say like jail. You said
Jael.
JL, so it's like,
It was
yeah,
close.
yeah,
That was close.
yeah, yeah. You were close.
Well, cool, man. Tell us a little bit about Bloodlines, like where it came to be, like when did you have this idea, and then what made you kind of like finally sit down and write it?
So I was about 19 when I started like brainstorming the idea. I was already interested in writing. I was writing smaller stories then, and I never published them. But Bloodlines, me writing Bloodlines, I was always a fan of like epic fantasy, science fiction. I wasn't that kid who could pay attention in school. So like they diagnosed me with ADHD early, and my dad was like, you don't need no meds. A good ass whooping to get you straight. But but for
What a good
me, it
dad.
was yeah, yeah. My dad was never like that. My dad's from Puerto Rico, so he came from the island very young. He had to learn English at like 13, 14. So he had to assimilate at a later age. So all this ADHD, don't pay attention, like he didn't know what that was. He's from a very poor town in Puerto Rico. My mom's Puerto Rican as well. So me being in school, even though I couldn't pay attention, one thing that I really loved in school was like English class and history class. And particularly in like history class was like those epic stories, when we went back in time, like, and started talking about Greek myths, mythology, that era, Agamemnon. Odyssey just came out. It's funny that the Odyssey just came out around this time that we're doing this interview,
Yeah.
because I really loved the Odyssey. When you read the little excerpt when you're in like eighth, seventh grade, and then I went to the school library and actually picked it up, the Iliad and the Odyssey, because I was like such a fan of the myths, and I love Japanese mythology. I love Hindu mythology. I love reading stuff like that. Journey to the West is one of my favorite books.
Okay.
If you haven't read that, it's definitely amazing. It's like 100 chapters. Like, to read the modern translation, it's broken up into four parts now
Yeah.
because it's such a big.
It's a
It's a big
commitment.
journey.
It's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
commitment.
exactly. So I love epic tales. Beowulf, Gilgamesh, those stories really stuck with me very young when I read the excerpts. And just like with the Odyssey, I had to go read the poems in school and stuff like that. So going through, the process of writing Bloodlines, I always knew I wanted to write epic fantasy, but I always knew that there was always like this sort of barrier with a lot of audiences. And I don't write for an audience particularly, but I know that some people just aren't into the medieval vibes. Not everybody wants
Right.
to read those like, archaic languages and people speaking in such, epic poetic ways, like it's Shakespearean like. So I had to find another angle for it, and I really like science fiction and fantasy, or
Right.
science fiction as well. I grew up on Star Wars. I started um my first Star Wars movie was Phantom Menace, but then my dad was like, he's a prequel trilogy guy.
Right.
So So we go watch Phantom Menace, and he's not pleased. We go back and watch the original trilogy, and now I see the magic behind it.
Right.
And it was always cool to me how like they brought this almost ancient mythic tone, but brought it into a sci-fi space. Then around like 2003, I watched Blade Runner, the original Ridley
Oof.
Scott Blade Runner. Blade Runner. I went and read the book afterwards, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? So I really like the cyberpunk vibes, and I love the political undertones of like the big guy stepping on the little man, you know, the big corporation taking over. I mean, and it's kind of like scary how much that reflects the world we live in today in a way. So, you know, reading Blade Runner, reading Lord of the Rings, that was another big one for me. Narnia was another big one for me. I went to a couple private schools when I was younger, so Narnia is kind of ingrained, you know, with the Christian theology and stuff that.
Yeah.
They bring that into, you know, the actual academics in English class. Like that's some of the first books you read.
Easy transition for them, right? Hey.
Yeah. So, but to me, I kind of outgrew Narnia real quick. I was more into the Lord of the Rings. And then I read this book called Pendragon, A Journal of an Adventure Through Space and Time.
Okay.
I do not know if you've actually read that. Have you even heard of it?
I've heard of it, but I haven't read it. Like it's
this fantastic book. It's a series. It's a 10-book series written by DJ McHale. He wrote a lot of television shows. I can't think of some. Morbius Road, stuff like that. Back in the 90s or like late 90s, early 2000s. So he was just like so ahead of its time, and it came out around the same time as Harry Potter. But it was so niche. It's more like that, like how cyberpunk is very niche in the science fiction genre. It's a very niche book because it's this story about this kid named Bobby Pendragon. He's a basketball star, and much like Harry Potter, it's almost like his uncle shows up one day and is like, well, you need to come with me. I know you have this big basketball game, but we got to go to New York, down to this subway station. And then they hop on this portal that takes them to a completely different world. And it's kind of like a Portal fantasy. And he's hopping these different dimensions throughout space and time where sometimes he's in a medieval world. He's in a cyberpunk world where it's like the Matrix, where people are plugging into a virtual reality simulation. There's a world much like Atlantis. And he's basically charged with saving these territories from this demon. So that really opened my mind early that, you know, fantasy doesn't have to be limited to the medieval and everything that, you know, is mainstream with fantasy. Basically, you know, that Tolkien era fantasy that everybody tried to emulate afterwards, which I love it. We all love it. Yep. So I wanted to find a way to blend it. And when it first came to me, I was thinking, you know, let's do a psychological thriller. So in the original book, did you finish the book already? You finished?
Yeah. Both Joan and I finished the book. Now I could kind of see like where you're getting the ideas from. Like you're taking all these childhood memories and you're saying, okay, I like this about Marvel. I kind of like this about Pendragon. I like this about, you know, some of the Lord of the Rings stuff. And I want to kind of mesh that together into this big, huge world that you've created. And that was like my next question, because you have like alt history, right? So like World War II post alt history stuff. You've got an American background. You've got ancient gods. You have interdimensional empires in this thing. It's got a big old scope. So that totally makes sense now. Like why you were thinking this and how you were kind of putting that together is you have all these childhood books. You're like, okay, I gotta do this. I gotta write this story.
So
then you've got this 13-year-old girl that like, she's like taken, right? And she could become potentially like the most powerful thing. So where's that angle come from? Like, where was your thought process going with that? And did you always think that was going to happen, or just kind of the story just kind of lay out that way as you wrote it?
So with the original premise, it was really just going to be a psychological thriller with fantasy aspects at first. It was really with the illusionist character, that was really just going to be the main antagonist of the book at first. And then I still hadn't started writing it. So I was about 21 at that point. And I'm like, no, I want to really tell an epic, mythic tale. I want to tell something bigger. And I do want to tell like a fantasy story that is bold and, you know, takes leaps in ways that are familiar to those who are fans of fantasy tropes, because you see it in there when you read it. You'll be like, okay, yeah, there's fantasy tropes in there. There's things that I can recognize. And it's really like it was a really hard like sell, because the book thrusts you in the prologue, you get thrusted into the first prologue, and you're like, okay, this is kind of like a sci-fi thriller political book. Another big influence of that book. Have you read Point of Impact?
I haven't.
That's what's his name? I can't think of his name. I have it in my top 15 books video. I can't even think of his name I feel ashamed. But it's Mark Wahlberg. You seen Shooter?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the movie that's based off of that book.
Okay.
So the only difference really is that they switched him to like an Afghani war vet versus
right.
He was a Vietnam War vet in the books, and it's a lot more detailed. I definitely recommend it. It's one of my big sells, and I also like James Bond books. So I grew up watching James Bond with my grandmother, but I also read Casino Royale and From Russia with Love and a couple of the other old Ian Fleming era books. If you haven't read Casino Royale, definitely another probably it's if you've seen the Casino Royale movie, it's like a direct adaptation. It's probably cool. It's like the most accurate James Bond book, like the only one that actually follows the actual book. Even though almost every movie is titled after a book, that's the only one that actually follows the plot
along with it. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So that was when I seen Daniel Craig as James Bond. That was like the tortured Bond that I read in the books. That's who I want. So I when you start reading Terry, you're like, oh my God, he's kind of like this James Bond-esque, like kind of mercenary. He's in the espionage
type deal. Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of get that, but there's a sense of purpose. And one of the hardest sells for me when I started that first part of the book was, I was like, he's not just he's a mythic hero. He's going to be like in the class of like Odysseus and those ancient myths of like Gilgamesh, those epic heroes that we read about in school. So I wanted that undertone. So I wasn't sure where I was going to put those 2 flashback chapters that take up the first 2 chapters of the book. That was a hard sell for me. And I was nervous about it because it does kind of like slow the pacing for a bit. You're like thrown into this political thriller.
Right,
and then you're like taken out of it. And he's like, okay, well, let's go back 6 years and show you what happened before this. And
oh, yeah, most definitely. When I started reading it, I was like, okay, what is this actually about? Because I thought, I was like, okay, I was pretty sure this was like a sci-fi-ish book, you know? And then I got into that section and I was like, hang on a second, is this modern day? Is this in the future? Like it does. It takes you a second to like go back and realize like, okay, this not only is going backwards in time, but it's going backwards with Terry and his development and where he's at. And so you have to really kind of concentrate on what Terry's going through right then, or you can lose that thread of like, what's going to happen in the future. Because that threw me for a minute. I'll be honest. I was like, I wonder if this is going to be able to pick back up, or what, like, how's this going to look in the rest of the book? And it did. So I think you put it right where it needed to be. It's just one of those things that as a reader, you're like, hang on a second, because you're right. It slows you down. And anytime you have an interrupt moment, you got to think, okay, is this the author doing this intentionally? Is this something that the character's doing intentionally? Or is this just something that it was placed here because it was convenient? You know, those kinds of questions as a reader kind of went through my head. And I was like, no, I think this is intentional. Like, this is so you can kind of slow down for a second, figure out who Terry is, kind of figure out where things are going to go so that you can see what's going to happen in the future versus that time period.
Yeah. And then personally for me, I still don't feel like I hit I nailed it on the coffin. Like, this is the 3rd edition of the book. When I first released it was just a Kindle. Then I met my wife, and around the time I met my wife was about 5 years ago. I released the physical paperback copies of the 2nd edition. And then just recently, this last September, I released the Arcanix edition, which is the final mix and master. And I still don't feel like I completely nailed it as I could have, but as an author in retrospect, especially when you're like, I'm in book 4 now, I'm 200 pages into writing book 4. So I always look back now, especially with what I know as a writer, and the writing just keeps on improving with each book, that it's like, you're always going to look back. But at the same time, I was like, am I going to put this? I wanted to originally put it after the Black Sun chapter. So after the Black Sun, to kind of like narrow it, because those two chapters are so crucial to like that climax at the very, very tail end of the book.
Yep.
They still leave you with questions once you get your answers on who the Forgotten One is. Like,
oh yeah, like I started writing down some of the mysteries and stuff that you were doing, and I had like 11 of them, and I called Jonah or text Jonah, I can't remember which one, and I was like, dude, I'm losing track. I'm like, how many do you have? You know, like there's a lot of mysteries that he's going to have to answer here at the end, or he's going to have to take this into book 2. There's just questions about each individual character. There's questions about deities. There's questions about magic systems that I'm like, oh man, there's only 200 pages left. I hope he gets to all these. Like, there's a lot going on.
Nah. And I did that that was intentional, because at the end of the day, this was the prologue to everything that's to come. Like,
right.
Books
Sets up the
one,
whole world.
And I could have, like, originally, I always pictured the whole series as one big book. Did you read the letter to the reader at the very beginning?
Is that in the Kindle?
Yeah.
Yeah, then I did.
It's like, yeah.
Yep.
It's like, it basically, so there's supposed to be 12 books with 4 separate sagas. Book 1 and book 2 are the first saga. And I broke it up in those story arcs, kind of like, I know we talk about One Piece all the time.
Yeah.
So I like Oda, and funny thing I was the biggest One Piece hater till recently. till a friend put me on, because I'm a big anime guy. But Oda, and you see it with Oda, he'll throw so much at you and he won't resolve it till like hundreds of chapters later, and you're like, what's going on? So I already knew that this was going to be a long form series, and it's a hard sell for a debut author to, do that. And I don't do this for sale. If I did this for sales, or like, I wouldn't be an indie author. And if I did this for money, I wouldn't be 3 books in without being like mainstream at this point.
Exactly.
I would have tried to sell this to a publisher. But I really trust the story. Huh?
Jonah's got a comment.
Sorry, I'm working
He's working the comments.
I'm here. I'm working the whole back, like, tech, trying to chat, trying to do stuff. So I'm still listening and doing stuff. I actually like that when authors throw more at you and don't resolve it. And the reason being is, I think it helps you have not convenient moments. Yeah. So if you throw it out there and you're like, well, it's out there, people can read it, and then all of a sudden something happens, like, well, like, what a convenient moment. I mean, Red Rising did this to me. It's like, I wanted this Daro and what's his name? I can't think of it right now.
His mentor.
I wanted that relationship building, and so, like, because he didn't throw that out there, I was like, this is I'm super mad right now. So. Anyways, so I like sometimes when you do throw stuff out there and it just, you put it in the ether into the book. I think it's better that way.
Well, I think it locks you in as an author, right? You can't leave your readers hanging if you give them a little taste of that, and then you have to address it at some point, right? You can't just leave it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a lot of mistakes that we've seen in some of the authors that Jonah and I have talked about. We're like, man, I don't like it when there's a how convenient moment. When the main character, the protagonist, oh, how convenient, they got the one ring all of a sudden. Oh, how convenient, they got this, they pulled the sword out of the stone with no problems. Like, how convenient type stuff really kind of grinds both of us. We're like, okay, but it should be work. You should have to earn it, right? And Terry has to earn it. He has to earn
every step of the way.
Every step of the way. Claudia, she's like my favorite character. She has to earn it all.
My favorites too.
I figured she was. I was going to ask you, because I was just like, man, the way this is written, the way this is layered, like, you give her, like, she doesn't have any of the magic. She doesn't have any of the bloodline. She's got nothing, right, compared to everybody else. But she has her wit. She's got her intelligence. She's got her ability to understand things. She's got her ability to kind of help Terry where he's at, so he's not such a lone wolf, and help him understand his sarcasm a little bit. Yeah, I just appreciated Claudia because of what she's able to give to the story versus... I don't know. I'm trying to think of another character that I was like, I think this is meant to be a good backdrop character instead of a main forward character.
Yeah, like Essence, like versus Essence. Claudia and Essence. Yeah, like Essence and Claudia are like, they're like two sides of the same coin, but at the same time, Claudia, like you said, she relies a whole lot more on herself. And like her wit. And well, when y'all get to book 2, you'll definitely love it because Claudia definitely gets a lot of sunshine.
That was one of the things I was going to ask is like, did you do in book 2, without spoiling it, did you do a lot more arc with Claudia? And would you do a standalone with her? Or is it like, give me a little bit of input there. And like, cause that's the character that's what I like thought about was like, man, Claudia is my favorite.
So these characters are going to be contained to this 12 story arc. I don't plan on doing much with them after this 12 books. This is almost like, this is the beginning of what I'm calling the Arcanix compilation. So anything after this I'm basically layering a world that has so many possibilities that I don't have to do as much of the creating or building when I do other stories. But I plan to do a lot of solo stories after this with new characters, but I want it completely removed, like 10,000, 15,000 years apart, like to the point where Terry is a myth in his own world.
Yeah,
like
he's some type of statue or something you read about, but he's not.
Yeah. So that way, when people read another book, they can be like, okay, I like this book. I don't really like. I want to see what more he has to offer, and then they figure out that Tales of the Arcanix is like the cornerstone of it all, and then they get into the bigger series. That's another reason why I'm not worried. I'm going to be writing for years. I already knew this was going to be like a 15 to 20 year journey. Now, I have a lot planned for Claudia and Terry. Claudia and Terry will actually have book 6 almost all to themselves. That is cool. Their book. That will be their book. And you'll see that with book 2. It is still, Terry is very much the core of the story. He's the main character. But with what happens at the end of book 1, you're like, okay, well, what are the other characters going to unpack? So book 2 actually deals with a lot more of the other characters in the first fourth of it. It's more Claudia, Terry, or Claudia, Elijah, Marie, because Marie is a very crucial character, and you don't get to spend a lot of time with her till
that's what I book. That's what I was wondering with her, because she seems like she's got some chosen one aura going on, but she's not the main part of the book. She's the
secondary protagonist. So of the entire series, she is the secondary protagonist.
So then she's gonna have to grow with your series, then, right? She's gonna have to she's gonna have to grow up in your series.
Yeah, so she's kind of like for the young reader insert, somebody who the young reader can attach themselves to. I didn't make it for obviously the content in the book. It's not for a 13-year-old or something like that. It's not. But for a 16, 17-year-old kid, who wants to read about somebody like a teenager who's going through problems, she's like your Harry Potter, your Bobby Pendragon, or you're the Pevensey kids from Narnia. She's gonna be that young story, and she actually is the primary protagonist for that first portion of the book. So you'll be following a lot of her perspective for those first couple chapters in book 2 before you shift back to Terry, because obviously you see where Terry's at is a very interesting predicament. And I can tell you that even after writing book 3 and even in book 4, just book 2, Terry's story is so beautiful to me. And it is book 2 is still my favorite. And it took me 4 years to write it. I was going through a lot during that journey. When I first met my wife, I was probably 100 pages into book 2. I hadn't released a physical copy of book 1 yet. Mm-hmm. And my life was in turbulence at that point. I mean, I was doing so much. My life was crazy. I was living life on the edge.
Do you think that helped you write that book? And that's probably why because you got through it, used it as therapy or something?
It was therapy, and it was I love it. I love fantasy. I love sci-fi. If you've seen any of my videos on my channel, that's what I like to talk about.
Jonah and I were checking them out. We're because the first thing we did when we started reading this, I think you sent me the text, Jonah. I was like, dude, this reminds me a lot of X-Men. And Jonah was 100 pages ahead of me or 50 pages ahead of me. I was like, it's not X-Men. And then I got there and I was like, oh, yes, it does.
So amazing that you say that, because Sanctuary was designed to be like Hogwarts mixed with the X-Men mansion.
Right.
That's why there was a mixture of magic and gifted, because you have the gifted gene, which kind of gets explained to you. And then you get the magic aspect of it. because again, I wanted to make this world that had endless possibilities that I could tell many, many stories in. I even thought about putting together a short story collection of just Nico and Terry, like in their adventures in that 4-year gap where he's just doing mercenary work. Like you could do that in a similar way because The Witcher is my favorite series of all time.
I love The Witcher.
The Witcher.
I love The Witcher.
Yeah,
Bryson's
that's
a
my
huge
favorite
Witcher.
book. Man, that
Yeah, just the layout of
those
that
short
and how it just
stories?
goes all over the place, and you get to
Yeah.
connect things and spend time with Siri and spend time. And I mean,
and
I just thoroughly enjoy Geralt. Like he's my hero.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure you see like Terry's a lot more talkative than Geralt. He's a little more like cocky than Geralt.
Yep.
But I'm also a big gamer, so he has aspects of Geralt in him, and then he has aspects of a character named Dante from Devil May Cry,
Gotcha.
who is like this brash. He's a mercenary. He's a supernatural paranormal investigator and demon hunter. So I took aspects from a lot of things I like. I don't like doing self inserts, but Terry does have a lot from my background as well.
Well, it's
So
hard
there
not to,
are-
right? Like when you're writing, I
Yeah.
can imagine like it's super difficult to not put your own opinions, your own thoughts, your own personality type in there. But I thoroughly appreciate it when an author like you've done is I don't feel like I'm reading you, right? I'm reading Terry. I think that's one of the key things about in writing. And Jonah, we've hashed this to death with different books. Is sometimes we're reading a book and we're like, man, this is not the character. This is the author, right?
Yeah.
Like this is not the author's on a rant right now, and they shouldn't have been because this is the author's personal feelings about this political thing or this agenda or whatever, and it doesn't feel like that character. And I didn't feel that way with Terry. Like I'm like he's an individual. He's got his own thoughts. He's got his own brain. He knows what he's doing. And he gets called out on by Claudia, which I really appreciated because Claudia is not like this background character. Yes, man, kind of person. She's just not. And I loved it.
She's that friend you need. She's that friend you need. She's that friend you need who like kick you in the ass when you need it.
Yep.
And the other person to Terry was Marcus, and with the reveal at the end, I'm pretty sure you'll get to see a little more of how that relationship entails, like in book 2. And yeah, so that was one other thing that was super important to me. I know I bounce around from ideas a lot when we're talking. So
no, that's fun. That's what makes it entertaining.
Just let me know.
Because like that's what's fun. And like that's why I like to read the book ahead of time and not just discuss it, because I'm like, okay, then I can understand where you are and what you're talking about. Because like I would love to talk about the end of your book because it's awesome, but you can't. It'll spoil it for everybody. Like it's the type of book that is like, no, this is like one you cannot talk about, or you reveal stuff that's like the main parts of the book, right? That it builds up to, and there's a huge crescendo right at the end. It's like, we're not going to talk about these things because they all add up.
Yeah, and that was the one thing. Like, it's a hard sell because, like I said, I am a debut author,
right?
So I knew that ending was gonna punch, and I was just like, I have to make the payoff worth it because it's a lot. Another big inspiration was like when you watch a John Wick movie. You were talking about how, like, did I mean to torture Terry this much? And I was like, yeah, Terry's a very powerful character. Like, you have to break him down mentally, physically. Like, you have to challenge him. You can't like use a character like that. Like, Superman is only interesting when you give him like the psychological problem and something that he can confront that can actually challenge him. So one of the intentional things was to make the pacing almost deliberate. Like, it beats you into the ground constantly. It keeps beating you down, and you're like, dang, man.
Well, yeah, because I was going through it, and I was like, man, most authors, when they're writing about a particular character, they kind of give them a lot of plot armor, right? Or they protect them a little bit. And I'm looking at Terry, and I'm going, does Ortiz hate Terry?
I love Terry. That's like my.
I know you don't, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, this guy is taking it, and he's especially towards the end. I'm like, this poor guy. Like I just felt for him. I was like, this is brutal what you were putting him through, but I appreciated it. Because you didn't protect him, right? You didn't baby him.
No true character is developed through a soft road.
No, not at all. And
no.
Like when you watch John Wick, you're trying to figure out, yeah, how's this guy still walking at the end of everything? So like, I wanted you to feel tired with Terry. I mean, by the end of it, he's pretty much stripped of all the tools that even got him there. By the end, you're like, dang, what is he going to do now? Like, and that moment with him and Claudia at the before the climax, like before they get on the ship to go save Marie or whatever, where he gives, you know, power back there, you know, gives control of Team Sanctuary to her, and he spoiler, but yeah, where he gives her that leadership role is because it's clear that she's probably the one who should be leading the team. Terry is a lone wolf. He's an important character, and his role as a team player, that's going to be the arc for book 2. Like book 2 is where you'll really
that's cool, because like that was one of the things in this one is his biggest weakness by far was not getting the help of other people, just doing it by himself.
Yeah.
Like constantly needed, he should have used people's help. And Claudia points that out multiple times. And I'm like, yeah, Terry, dude, learn something here. Get some help from people, ask for help. Don't try to do everything on your own. That's not leadership, right? So the ending made sense.
And then the moment with him, Warp being the character. I know that was one of the twists that was gonna like punch, because everybody's like, oh, because I made it a hint, I made it a point for him not to specifically state that he did a particular thing that everybody kept on assuming. So if you actually go back to the book and you're like, okay, yeah, he didn't. There was somebody else there at the very beginning. You may have not seen him, but he was there at the very beginning. And even in that moment, he would have never got away at the very beginning when he makes his little grand escape. He needed that help. Yep. And it's very important because I wanted to like address themes of unity, because I feel like in this world, there's a lot of people out there who are just very like cynical. There's a lot of division now. And, you know, we were just talking about the Smokey book and all that. And just like the political climate of things can divide you so well. And now it's like if I hate you, you're against me thing. So I hope that y'all appreciated the fact that, you know, there was this undertone of unity where it's like, no, we need to put aside our differences. What is going to work for this problem that we have at hand? Yeah. Regardless of what happened between us in the past, regardless of what happened, I mean, you have mortal enemies joining sides just to confront this situation. And that's a big thing. And I took that from, I took a lot of those themes from Game of Thrones and George R. R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire, with like the uniting for the White Walkers and the Night King. And,
for the better good.
You know, for the better good, like that's true. I mean, and then again, Star Wars, you think about how the rebels, you had Han Solo, who was a smuggler. You had Luke Skywalker, a farm boy, Princess Leia, and then all these like outcasts of the galaxy banding together to actually overthrow an empire, because that is one of the most important things in life to me. I feel like as people, we argue so much. It's kind of hard to just like not be like, let's just put our differences aside, man. I'm one of those people. I grew up with 10 siblings, and and like, so I'm that one. My parents adopted 6 kids, and then there's 4 of us. So between the 2 of them, my mom has me and my brother, and then my dad has me, and then my 2 other brothers.
Okay, I got you.
So and then because I'm the only child of both my parents, it's like I always end up in the middle of everything. I'm the median. So it's like, I'm not talking to such and such because of this, or I'm not just.
Yeah, you got to defend both sides because you're like, look, these are my bloodlines, right?
yeah. Like I'm the guy to be like, yo, just suck it up and go talk to the guy. Just suck it up and go talk to him. Like, and if anything, like, just hear him out. And if you don't agree, whatever, like, just make up. Like, or if y'all just agree to disagree and go y'all separate ways, y'all will talk again sometime down the line. But I just feel like that's very important. And then as you see that Terry is kind of like the media, he's the one thing that connects everybody in the book.
Yep.
Like
Yeah,
everybody has some connection to them.
to
Some
Terry.
characters have connections to each other that you don't know about yet because obviously there's more down the
they're
line.
coming down the line.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed about like your antagonist, right? You've got Liam, and then help me with the pronunciation here. Is it Chernobog? Chernobog?
Yep, Chernobog. So based off of that's the Norse deity of dark. That plays on it too. So yeah.
And then you've got
Chernobog,
Azrael, right? And they all were at one point a good person, right?
Yeah.
And then you have them like have a catastrophic moment or a choice moment that changes everything. And then it kind of seems like a template that you used for your antagonist. Was that kind of something that you had planned out from the beginning? Was that something that the story written that as you were writing, you figured that out? Or was that something that you like have noticed in life? And so you're like, I got to put this in because this is what happens in life.
Well, Chernobog, Azrael, and Liam were always going to be like, they're almost like dark mirrors of Terry in a way. Different parts of his personality, and they're dark mirrors of all the characters because all the characters are almost like reflections of each other in some way. They all have trauma. They all have, things about them. And it's always about that choice, that one choice. Like I know the Joker loves to go on the monologue where he's like, yeah, I have that one bad day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everybody had that one bad day. Terry could have went just as left as the others.
Yep.
But with Terry, it was like he has this sort of sense of honor, this sort of sense of responsibility to his father. Like his father is almost like as big of a character as he is, even though he's not in the book. His shadow looms over everything, including his connections to Liam, Chernobog, and Azrael. And it's kind of like a recurring theme. It's like, my dad tried to do this. He tried to mentor this person. He tried to mentor that person. Look where they ended up. Mm-hmm. And is it really Cloud's fault? Like, we don't get to see it. But at the end of the day, is it his fault or is it the choices that they made?
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of like the magic theme, right? Is Earth's magic exists because a father shattered that reality and trying to escape with his son, right? And then you've got is it Stormwind, and the entire backstory and backdrop is kind of prefaced on that, right? He's a legend that the whole world is built around. And was that something that you had to structure ahead of time? Like, did you have to write the book for the book? Because the entire thing is backdrop is based off of that premise.
So I didn't start doing outlines until after I finished book 3.
Oh, wow.
That was when it started to like, I had it all in my head at one point in time, but then it's like, once I started, my daughter was just born last year. Okay. So that was with the anticipation of my daughter coming. She was born last August. Her birthday is going to be in like a couple of weeks, and we're moving. So I'm actually taking a break from writing. But when she was coming, it was like, I ended up in some problems. So I had to like find ways to like sort this all out in my brain while I'm anticipating my daughter. We're getting married on top of that, and me and my wife, and we're trying to find some new place to live. I'm looking for a place. So I'm writing book 3 as all this is going on. And I was like, I can't hold this in my head anymore. Like,
you got to get it out.
I got to compartmentalize it. So I have the outlines for book 4 and 5, 6. So originally book 3 and 4, because I believe the series was only supposed to be 8 books. And what happened was with book 3 and 4, I was like, there's too much stuff here. I would be doing like, it would be like one half of the book is one war, and then the second half of the book is another conflict. Right. And then, so I was like, all right, let me split this up. That's why the second saga is going to be 4 books, because I have to split it. You have to have it split because you want to make sure that all the characters have their chance to breathe. And like you said, with Claudia and all this stuff, now it's in a point where characters are on Earth, characters are on Terra Nova, characters are in other galaxies in different dimensions. And then, it was just like, I got to split this up. But Another thing I didn't want to do was make a 1,000-page book. I'm not into that. I'm one of those people who feel like 800, like after you start pushing that, it needs to be justified. Even 800 has to be justified. I feel like 500 to 700 pages is perfect for an epic fantasy.
Yeah,
Once you start.
I love Brandon Sanderson, but that's my biggest gripe. Is because it's like my brain's like, okay, I love this story, but I'm done. Right? Like there's a limit as a reader to be like, okay, I like this.
Yeah.
But I'm done. I need the story to come to some type of conclusion, right? And yeah, I think I agree with you. Like when it gets into the 800 page mark, there's a limit in there somewhere that's like, this is too much. And
I just don't want it to feel overstuffed.
No, like at some point you're like, okay, is this just the author just writing to write, or is this character actually being developed? I felt like that a bunch of different times with a bunch of different fantasy authors that love to write a 1,000-page book. I'm like, dude, cut it to 650 or 700, right? Or make it 2 books. Like make it 2 books. Like you don't have to make this all, thicker than the Bible type books.
And this was going to be 1 book. So look at that right there.
So
for a debut author,
that would have been thick.
Yeah. And I'm just like that because book 2 is 608 pages. So book 2, and then it concludes the first story arc. So I'm like, you know what? That's when I started coming up with the sagas. So I was like, all right, this is the 3 Paths 1 Destiny saga. And it's interesting that you bring up like Azrael, Chernabog, and Liam, because they're like the dark mirrors. So you got the 3 paths, right? You have Marie, Terry, and Elijah. Then you have Chernabog, Liam, and
it's a cool parallel, right? The way you're able to run those together. So if you didn't do the outline until book 3, is there like a parallel in your family or something that you drew that from, of like 3 people and 3 people that, or in your life that you were able to run that parallel or draw from that kind of attention span to be able to hold those characters in your mind? Because you say, Terry comes from you. You have a little bit of characteristics that Terry has, but were there other people in your life that were holding that kind of position for you so that you could write them the way that you did? Or they just came out naturally?
So I'm a big gamer.
Okay.
I'm a super big gamer. Like, if anything, sometimes I game more than I read now, just because I deal with so many words. I don't read as much no more. I'm currently reading The Dark Tower. Fantastic book. But I take a lot more time when reading now because I also don't want that to bleed into my own work. And even though I have my story pretty much planned out, I know exactly what the last scene of book 12 is going to be. So I really love a series known as Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
And it's a crossover between Final Fantasy and Disney.
That's one of the things we wrote down, is that this is a crossover with Final Fantasy. Like we both recognize that.
Yeah. Are you a big Final Fantasy lover?
Yes. Played them all.
Yeah. 6, 7, one through all of them. Okay, so 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
All right, so I have to ask this: do you play World of Warcraft, and do you love Final Fantasy?
I used to play World of Warcraft. I'm not into it. Last time I dropped off was the Lich King DLC.
Okay.
So I haven't played in that long, but yeah, big Warcraft, Final Fantasy, particularly. I don't know if you see the influence, but 7 is really hard hitting because it also has those cyberpunk themes with the the corporation, living on top of people. The Mithro system is very similar to the Materia system in that way.
Right. Mm-hmm.
If you notice that, I'm a big Final Fantasy guy. Okay. And one thing that's also where I get a lot of like my villain influences from, because like Sephiroth is like that guy who was a hero. And again, one bad decision, the manipulation of the world, all that. Genova's influence, it kind of mirrors like Liam's influence with the Ancient One. And the Ancient One is obviously, if you couldn't tell at this point, he's the overarching villain.
Yeah.
And that is because I take a lot of influences. I don't like to like put religion into it. Like obviously there's religious themes in there, and I identify, I'm a Christian, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. I praise him. He's the one who keeps me going. But there are influences of that. So if you know about like biblical text, you'll see the Ancient Ones parallels. And if you know the story of Lucifer, there's a lot there. So there will be a lot of things that happen in a place called the Lands of Beyond, which is beyond all the 10 dimensions, transcends the dark world, the light world, and the twilight sphere. which I've gone into a little bit. If y'all read the codex in the back, there's a lot of meaty information there for y'all to kind of dissect and be able to like learn a little more about the world.
Yeah, that was one of the hard things about not having a physical book, because usually Jonah and I read the physical books, but this time we had to both do the Kindle. But I really missed that.
I got some plans for y'all.
Because I like to be able to switch back. As soon as I saw that there was a codex, I was like, that would have been helpful.
I love physical books. It's one of the things that keeps me going.
Yeah,
like I have to touch books.
Yeah, this time we just couldn't do it. But we're like, man, I think I texted him at least once. I was like, I need the physical book. Like, I don't usually read the Kindle. This time it just didn't work out. Time wise, I looked at like when it was going to be delivered and how much time I had to read. And I was like, I got to do the Kindle if we want to do this next Sunday. And he knows that I hate the Kindle. Like I'd only do it if I have to, because I'm ADHD like you. If I'm not touching a physical book, I'm doing an engagement thing. I'm doing one of these things, right? Like I'm falling asleep, and it doesn't matter what the writing is. It's just I have to.
Bryson loves to mark up his books.
Yep.
So if he's not marking them up and tagging them, then I think he's like, it's hard. I mean, I feel like it's hard for you to go like engage with it. I don't know. I like physical books because I can then engage. It makes you feel more like, I would say, closer to the characters, and so. I mean,
it almost feels like you're reading an ancient text too when you're reading fantasy. It kind of fits that. But I definitely have something planned for y'all. I'm actually, me and my wife were just talking about that. I'm doing some logistics. Like I said, I'm moving and stuff, but I'm working on something for both of y'all because I want to get y'all book 3 as well.
Awesome. We'd love it. Yeah, it's something we truly enjoy doing, is reading indie authors, because you guys do so much work, right? And there's very little love out there for it, because nobody understands the kind of labor that you have to do, and that you can't be in this for the money, because there isn't any yet, right? Until this book gets popular, until people know what it is, it's just not there. It's all you funding it with your other jobs, the other things that you're doing. Wow. And that's why we wanted to do this every week. If we could do this every Sunday and read a new indie book every week, we would. Yeah. Because we're like, man, this would be really cool if we could help indie authors become more well-known so people could read them, and you can do more self-publishing, and then the money actually goes to the author rather than getting absorbed by all of the other things that happen, you know?
Yeah. I think that's one of the hard things, especially with indie authors, and seeing, like, reading them and then talking with them.
You want to hit your button? There you go.
It's going best. We got it back and forth. Is that okay? This is when you just have to deal with technology. You just have to work with it.
Because it's a little bit of a delay.
I guess with a lot of indie authors, you start seeing is that there's, I want to call it the curse of the Amazon, or marketing, but like, unless you have all this stuff to throw at it, like it's such a grind to get noticed. Right. And so that's with talking with Bryce and why we love doing indie books and indie authors. As we grow, we want to also then grow everyone around us. I think that's one of the things that we love to do, is just facilitate other people's growth. And so like reading your book and then talking with you and doing stuff with you, like it is fun for us to be able to I guess come along those rides, I would say, and especially and then learn how all this stuff is made and developed. But I mean, you're like, you got like reading this book, I'm not gonna lie, is inspiring me to like write something, but we're not there yet.
Well, if you get the idea, I'll say do it. I mean, Stan Lee said, if you feel like you have a good idea, try it. I mean, look where Stan Lee is as iconic in pop culture now.
Yeah.
So, one thing about being an indie author and the journey is, like you said, it's not about the money, but even if my book just lands in that one person, my book could not be popular for 20, 30 years, right? And then it lands in the hand of maybe not somebody who makes it a bestseller, but then that influenced that person, and then that person becomes the next Tolkien, that person becomes the next J.K. Rowling. Like, they love my book so much that it inspired them to write something. And that to me is more important than actually, making a bunch of sales. Because at the end of the day, you look at when Lord of the Rings came out back in like the 50s, the literary world shitted on it. They were like, this is fantasy. This isn't serious literature. This isn't that. But the guy created 3 whole languages, a history book, and all this stuff around it. And 50 years later, look where it's at. He got to see its popularity, but he didn't even get to see where it's at now in like pop culture, where it stands. I don't even know. He wasn't alive for the trilogy to come out in theaters. Yeah. His son was. Yeah, right. Yeah. Christopher Tolkien was.
Exactly. So, I mean, the payoff could happen way, way, way down the road. One of the questions that we've got in chat right now from Fuzzy, he asked, do you know about the Fellowship of Indie Authors group?
No, I don't.
Okay. Yeah. Fuzzy, can you DM him? Fuzzy's a good friend that we work with on our One Piece stuff. That's been awesome. If you could DM him the stuff, that'd be awesome.
Definitely.
Because that's something that we're looking to do, is how we can connect indie authors, because you're doing all the work yourself, with other TikTokers and other people that are wanting to talk about it and read it and spend some time in your books, because books obviously are important to us, and it's something we want to own a bookstore one day. We got tons of plans.
We have so many plans for
stinking plans for this, because we just have absolutely fallen in love with books over the years, and we realized, dude, if we're going to keep doing this business stuff, because we sell stuff on Amazon right now, and it's winding down, because we're like, we want to spend more time with the book community and what this is building into versus selling stuff on Amazon, because it's burning out for us, right? And that's okay. But we've realized by doing that, we've seen the punishment that small companies, small writers are having to go through. And we're like, okay, how can we change this? What can we do better? Was there something that we could develop? And like Jonah said, we want to grow with you. We want to grow with the author and watch you develop and grow, and then be a part of that, right? Because it creates a community, a sense of community that we really enjoy with TikTok and the other things that we're doing. But we're growing short on time. I had at least a couple more questions. And one of them, the biggest one I wanted to get to, is, did you have a scene or a character that you wrote something and you had either a really hard time doing it, or you regretted it, but you also knew that it had to be there? Like without it, it doesn't work. Like the story falls apart. Because I had a couple in mind, but I was like, I want to ask your idea first before I.
It's definitely the flashbacks. Okay. The first 2 flashbacks, chapter 1 and 2. That was like, I take this out and it kind of derails the punch of the climax. Mm-hmm. Again, I want to be able to like engage and make sure that people are engaging with my work. So I was like, this could really like turn off readers early on if they're not willing to take the time to invest in these 2 chapters. And it's because that first act of the chapter 1 is very exposition heavy, almost in a way that it's like, well, once upon a time, even though it doesn't run for too many pages, it's like a page or 2. But still, the fact of just writing, and then you just threw all that information with the assassination, the scene with Marcus, Elijah, and Claudia on the rooftops, and the battle sequence with the hunter, and then everything that happened at Sanctuary, like, because that was Terry's first interaction with Marie in the book, and there was just a lot of information going there. So to throw somebody back like that, I was like, when I first wrote it, I was like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. Right. In the editing process, I'm like, damn, does this kill the book? Does this kill the book? But I really love those chapters, and that whole sequence with Azrael towards the end is awesome to me. Like, just that the fall of Elysium and everything like that. It's so pivotal to the story, but it was really hard. It was a tough write.
Yeah,
and it was tough to get it to flow.
Yeah, it sounds like you're still battling with like if you made the right choice of where it sits, and I think it sits right where it needs to. One of the thoughts that I had was like, without spoiling anything, I'm just going to use different words just so I don't spoil it. But like Claudia leaves something like mid speech, right? And hopefully you can picture it in your mind. You know what scene I'm talking about. And she had things that she never got to say. You know where I'm at right now? I don't want to say it when he walked before the battle of Sanctuary, like when he's prepping everybody after I know exactly. Okay.
Yeah, you mention a scene and trust me, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's page 365. Like,
Yeah, I
mean,
figured.
this is the third edition, so I went through this book a lot. Like book one, I spent the most time with to the point where I'm like, just burn it already in my face. Like I'm tired of reading it. But I'm actually working on something for audiobook, so I still have one more epic read for it that I have to go through.
Good.
So,
Good.
but yeah, book one, yeah, that scene. What about it? What
Yeah. So if Claudia were here, what would she say? Like, she obviously had something, right? But couldn't, right? If you can, I mean, if it's in the future,
we'll
I don't want to mess with your book.
6, book 7.
Okay.
Like, there's a lot about Terry and Claudia that I don't want to reveal, but that is probably, I would say that's the most pivotal relationship, other than like Marie and Elijah. That is the most pivotal relationship to who Terry is as a person, and
Gotcha.
that will continue to develop. But they will be apart for quite some time. They will not see each other again until around book 5 and book 6.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Terry's gonna be out in his little Guardians of the Galaxy era, adventuring through the cosmos for a while.
Cool.
Before most people even realize he's alive.
Got another good question in the chat. This is from LK Winter. They're an author couple that we had on a few weeks ago.
They were our first ones.
Yeah, they were our first ones. They were our guinea pigs. They were
I've seen that
very
one
patient.
too.
Yeah, they were very patient with us.
The guy with the dreads.
Yep.
The engineer's mechanic.
Yeah, I do
Engineer's
remember
mechanic.
that.
Yep.
Yeah. Engineer's mechanic.
He asked how and why additional editions, and because that's something that they're exploring.
The reason I did was because they were just like with the second edition, it wasn't necessarily because I wanted to do a second edition, but because, like I said, the first one came out with Kindle, and then I didn't have physical copies, so that was my chance to like clean up any typos, right. Do what I had to do. And for the Arcanix edition, I always wanted to add the codex, and they were just like, the first book I started like really writing when I was like 22, and I've just grown as a writer. It will still never reflect like the writing of book 2 or 3, because it's raw. It's my first book. Like, I couldn't do it without completely rewriting the book, but I did want to clean up the prose a little bit, let certain things flow a little better, and just, make sure certain things were up to par for readers. And there was a couple scenes like where I was like, I feel like I'm telling too much. Let me, like, that scene with Claudia when she's like with the dreadnoughts. Remember when Asbaga is captured or whatever after the confrontation with Kane Smith, where she reveals it. I kind of told she was like in disguise, and I was like, why did I do that? It would have been a great reveal when she actually saves him and rescues him. So I removed scenes like that, and I removed things, I added things, and there's a couple additional scenes that weren't in the original, just things that fleshed it out. And a little bit of Terry's backstory where you have McLaughlin going through his file. I kind of went into a little monologue about what happened in the file, and I was like, no, that's one of the most important chapters in book 2. So I saved the reveal for book 2, so that way people could have some surprises, because I did sell few copies of book 1, and I got like all 5 star. I think I got 1 or 2 3-star reviews with the original edition, and that was like amazing to me, because I was like, oh, I didn't even expect people to like it like that.
Right,
like,
that's pretty cool.
I thought it was like super niche, so I ended up with 4.5 stars on the original edition. Yeah, if y'all could definitely leave me a good review, I would definitely appreciate it.
I think mine's already up. I don't know if Jonah's is. Jonah usually is yours up?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
I promise I'll get there.
Take your time.
The married guy with 2 jobs and 3 kids has it up, but the single guy doesn't have it up. Well, I'm just saying. But LK Winter has a good question again, or at least a good statement. It says, sounds like you became a better writer in the process. And I would think so, right? Like, having to decide what you're going to keep, what you're going to toss, and that decision to go from Kindle to a hard copy. That's brave. Like, that's a whole different world.
Yeah, speaking about it too, I got a lot of inspiration from Oda-san, obviously One Piece. So if you don't know, there was actually 2 versions of One Piece of the original chapter 1 called Romance Dawn, and they were test runs. So that's why the first chapter of One Piece is actually Romance Dawn, is because it's a homage to the original title of One Piece, and he made 2 different versions of that story. They all started with Luffy and the Barrel, but they play out very different. You can find them online and actually read them, but they're 2 very different versions, and he wrote those way before the actual first chapter of One Piece officially came out. And somebody that big, I mean, One Piece is really just catching on. I mean, I remember seeing it as a kid, but like it was nowhere near what it is now. That thing is like a phenomenon.
Yeah, I remember seeing it as a kid several times. It was just like really nerdy kids that were reading it, and I'm so mad at myself that I like judged them and that I didn't pick it up and read it, because I was like, I'll be judged if I read this. I remember.
That's how I was at first when you started reading it.
Yeah, you were making fun of me. I'm like, dude, it's really good. You got to pick this up. Like, it's pretty. And
I did.
A good story. Like, yeah,
if y'all really want something mature like that, but it's a lot shorter. Full Metal Alchemist is.
Yeah, that was another one.
That's another one I was looking at. Yeah. I in the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Like, I love that I'm in One Piece and I can't pick up anything else at right now. So I'm like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to wait. But I didn't realize like how long it is. Like, I was like, as soon as I started, I was like, oh, I've committed. I'm in it now. Like,
he is definitely committed, and you're in the right time because he's in the final saga. However long that may be, he's been in the final saga. He's been saying that for 5 years, and I picked it up in 2022 or 2023. So I'm not far behind you. I kind of consumed it through both manga and anime, and the anime is even longer. So
it's way longer. But I started it and realized, I was like, man, thousands of episodes. I don't have this particular kind of time yet in my life, so I'm gonna have to wait. And then LK says he's 20 episodes in, or they are, excuse me, probably has a couple to FMA, and it's good. And people say that it's the GOAT or a GOAT. So
I think it is the GOAT of all time. It's the number 1 anime to me, and it's because it's like that you could probably watch in the anime. It's like 50 episodes, 60 episodes. It's each season. It's like 5 seasons, 12 episode seasons, and it's just a beautiful story about 2 brothers and them trying to get their bodies back, but they end up in this war and this conspiracy. That's another big influence for me. So, and it's written by, I don't want to butcher. It's a female. She is amazing. I'm actually starting her new anime right now, Demons of the Shadow Realm, and just like the themes she tackled and how she kept the story. It's such a big story, and to keep it so concise and so short, it's like amazing. Like, not everybody can tell a story like that. And she was very young.
Exactly.
And I love stuff like that. So I mean, one of the major things I want to do more now as an author is really engage with the community. I never wanted to do TikTok. I never wanted to do, my wife is a business marketing major or a business administration major. And she's like, you need to start putting yourself out there. She's like, I was like, I do not like this author talk thing, like where like people like to, oh, you're doing this wrong in writing. You're doing that wrong in writing.
Right.
Because there's plenty of examples of somebody giving somebody advice and then somebody doing the opposite and becoming successful. Even Brandon Sanderson says one of the, best things I can do is like not take advice.
You got the little puzzle thing, didn't you?
Yeah, the little puzzle thing's messing with
you. I was like, what is going on?
I just finished my puzzle.
But she was like, you have to start engaging with the community. And she's like, plug your book in at the end and start talking. So I was like, let me start doing little things on ask a question of the day. Let me do things I'm interested in. But another thing that I really need to start doing is like going to these Comic Cons and getting a table and doing all this. That was the plan this year, was to do all that. When the baby came and
changes things.
You know what it's like to deal with like a 10-month-old baby. When
was the last time you slept? When was the last time you slept?
I don't sleep.
That's what I thought.
Don't sleep.
You've had at least 10 months of no sleeping. Like, I know it.
I mean, while I was home with her, I've been home with her for the past 4 months. I just started going back to work because I was laid off for a little bit. So to be honest, when I'm with her, she chills with me. She likes writing with me. She tries to type on the laptop with me. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. Like, she loves sitting on my lap, gaming. Like, I'm like, okay, so I can get things working as far as the writing aspect. So one thing I'm always doing is I'm always working. I'm taking this brief hiatus while I move from writing to let my brain recruit from the baby and the writing 3 books back to back without no outlines and all this
Right.
stuff. I was stressing myself out the past couple weeks. Like, I need to write the outline for book 6. I'm like, chill out. Yeah, you're in book
You got
4.
time. You got
Like,
time.
yeah, I got time. Like, and one thing I really want to focus on this next coming year, these are the goals, is just I want to engage more with the community. So that's why I started the TikTok. And look, it got me a nice interview with y'all. This has been
Yeah,
great.
appreciate it, man. Appreciate your time.
Friendship.
Giving up some of your Sundays. Like, it's awesome. Thank you. I really do.
We're going to have a great friendship, man.
Yes,
I guarantee
absolutely.
you. And I got things coming. So like the plan is to start doing a lot more table readings. Like libraries let you do them for free. And then you can donate a book at the end. Like, so here in Richmond, I live in Virginia. So libraries let you do them for free. You can set up a table and then you can donate a book to the library afterwards. You can donate however many copies you want. So I'm going to start doing more library show ups, and then Comic-Cons aren't really too much. You know what I mean? So just
small booths,
money to the side. Yeah, do small booths. I think they're like $150, $300. And I say this for like any other authors watching, because you know, that's good for them to know. If I can help somebody else to do what they want to do and do what they're passionate about.
Oh yeah.
I like, that's what we're here for. And my wife is always like, yeah, you need to engage, start talking to people who are into the things you're into. Even if we're not into exactly all the same things, we're going to have common
There's
things.
There's going to be some overlay. Exactly.
And so one big thing will be like branding. I have logos set up. I don't know if you've seen the series logo on my page. So yeah, we're closed. We're trying to do a lot of things to like engage and go to Comic-Cons and be like, hey, let me hand this out with you. Here, you get 2 copies, and here you get a t-shirt, a hat. Here's a sticker. Here's a couple bookmarks with my QR code. So yeah, marketing, like you were saying.
And especially, I think this is like, I think you hit on a key point that a lot of people don't understand, especially with authors. Your branding and you as an author is almost more important than your book, because if people like you, they're going to read your book. And so you'll start looking at the marketing, like with TikTok and social media. And this is something that I'm learning because I struggle with like putting myself out there, but growing yourself will grow everything around you, because people want to know the author. They want to know you. They want to know you, like your struggles, your, your upbringings, your successes. The more that somebody could have that connection, like everything else just grows with you. So it's to your point, it's a huge thing when you're growing as an author, and in the experiences that you're going through are what people love. They love those connections with people. I mean, anybody, if I ever listen to a podcast, YouTube, TikTok, whatever, if I can't relate to them, I'm not going to follow them.
Yeah, I'm a big hip hop head, so I actually started rapping before I started writing books, and I fell out of love with the music just because of like the state of music and stuff like that, just how everything's going. But I'm a big fan of like Nipsey Hussle and Russ. I mean, if y'all know who Nipsey Hussle is, his whole thing was he was like self-made taste better, because by the time he got to the point of his debut album, he was in negotiations with the label. It wasn't just, oh, let me sign to a label. No, we're doing a 50-50 deal because I have this following. Yep. This is what I have to bring to the table. So that's kind of like the route, not necessarily to copy his path or nothing, but I take influences from all forms of art, because you see these artists, you see how like the independent field is. And if you know how to market yourself, you know how to brand yourself, and you do things the proper way, whether it's a slow grind, because Nipsey Hussle was out for like years before he actually became who he is. And then obviously he tragically passed very soon. But he was engaged with the community. He was that guy who was like, what was it? It was $1,000. It was like I think it was like $100 or $100 mixtape. He was doing this $100 mixtape run. Or $1,000, I forget what it was. And he got that idea from Halo. Again, this is a rapper, and he's like, okay, yeah, Halo has the main package where you get your base game, or you get your deluxe edition, or you get your ultimate edition that gives you the gun and this. So he's giving y'all options. And then he also gave them the option to download the mixtape for free. So you don't even have to buy it. But if you want to support this movement, You can spend
Exactly.
$100 and you'll get a T-shirt, you'll get this, you'll get that, and yeah, I think people just need to put a little more value in themselves and realize that this is a way to establish something for people beyond them. Like my daughter could inherit this one day.
Yes, exactly.
And she could be like, hey, I want to write like dad and I want to tell a story in the Arcanix. Or somebody could come to her and be like, well, your father made something that just now got popular. He's passed on. You own this. Do you want to sell it for
Whatever.
whatever?
Yeah.
Exactly. This is your negotiation now, because it's beyond me. It's beyond me. If I pass, I leave this to my wife. I mean, I leave this to my kids. Like,
Yeah.
and this is my legacy. I write as you start going through now. I don't have a letter in book 2, but in book 3, I have a letter to my wife and my daughter. And
Oh, that's cool.
I tell her, I'm like, this is a piece of me you will always have. If I pass before, this is something for y'all. If you want to find me, look for me in these pages.
That's cool.
You know what I mean? Because that's how much it means to me. Like, this is a piece of me. Like, you will find me here. A lot of my beliefs, I don't get preachy, but I want to make people feel like they're connected to me, and that like when you talk to when you see how Stanley engaged with people and how he loved, like, he hated the business side of it, he hated the politics of everything, but he loved people. And I'm not like a socialite, so to speak. I'm very like closed off in private, but if this book like means something to me, like the way that I read the Odyssey back in school, and it engaged me. It got me to engage with school when I hated school. I was skipping school, smoking weed, running around the streets with my friends, doing dumb stuff. Like, but you know what? I'd be in English class for Miss Bowen, who would tell me that I
That's
was
awesome.
always, I actually, when I released this book, I reached out to my English teacher and I was like,
Hey,
you're the reason I did this.
that's cool.
You're the reason I did this. And it was the most gratifying feeling. This lady would throw me in detention. You look high as a kite. Like, you're doped down on lean. Like, I remember I told this lady, like, blow me in class. Like, fuck you. Like, I told her the craziest stuff, but she always, like, one thing I could never say was I had bad grades in school. I was just a kid who bounced around. I think by the time I was in middle school, I had bounced around between like 10 schools. So just by the time I was in middle school, because I came from Boston, I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. And then we moved down to Virginia. My parents wanted to get away from the city. Expensive, stuff is getting crazy. My brother was out in trouble in the streets all the time.
Yep.
And so they moved us to Virginia, and that was the first time I seen a deer. I'm in a place where I don't know. Things are just like, I'm like, okay, I want to smoke weed and be with my friends. I started in a martial arts background, never did it because I became a rebellious teen. So that's another thing with these action sequences. When I write them, I come from a standpoint of, I did judo, I did kickboxing.
So you know what it looks like, how it's supposed to land. Yeah, that's very cool.
How it feels. And that's actually where I really wish. I really wish I could have been like a fighter. Like that was my one thing that I missed out on. And it's just the way life landed. I was too rebellious.
Happen,
I didn't have the discipline to actually just train every day and do what I had to do to actually get those steps. But I did have the discipline to sit there and write these pages. I think we're like 1,500 pages in now. So
now you can put your fighting into the book and make those scenes epic, right? Because you have a history, you have an understanding. We're out of time. I've got another thing I've got to go to, but just for like the one last thing, I want you to be able to put your plug in either for the book you're currently working on or where your books are located, or just anything you want to say about your books, because I'm going to send this recording to you. You'll have it and you can cut it up and use it on your Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever you want. And we'll do the same.
Right.
But yeah, put your plug in. Like what are you working on? Where do people find your book? Let's hear it.
All right. So my name is Jael Ortiz. I'm the author of Tales of the Arcanix. You can find it on any major platform. You can even get this ordered to your local bookstore. I have it in a way that if you have the demand for it, you can order it through that bookstore. They'll get it to you, Barnes & Noble, whatever. The main site you can get it on is Amazon. You can get it in Kindle, paperback and hardcover. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it is free for you to download. You can just go ahead and download it for free. I run promotions all the time. You can follow me on TikTok at Arcanix1031 author. You'll find that, and all my other social media platforms. You have Arcanix1031 on Instagram, Facebook. You'll find me as Jael Ortiz, and YouTube Arcanix1031. And yeah, it's been lovely talking with y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah, same. It was good.
Yeah. We'll do this again.
Yes.
No, that's definitely that's something we definitely want to keep going. Is sorry, camera button right here, right in front of me, is keep things going. So no, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
So
hope you have a good night and land in a good place for your move. I hope it's
Thanks, man.
Thanks again. We'll talk soon. I'll send you
definitely.
some DM stuff. I'm sure Fuzzy sent you something, and we'll get you on for the next book. I don't know how far down the road we'll be, but we'll definitely do it again.
Yep.
And I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, thank you.
Y'all have a blessed night.
You as well.
We'll see you.